Daniel Carter moves into a quiet suburban HOA neighborhood where everything looks perfectly designed and peaceful. Clean streets, modern houses, and a beautiful private lake immediately catches attention. As he walks closer to the lake, he notices a strange restricted sign placed near the boundary. The area feels public, but the rules suggest something very different. He checks his property documents again, but the boundaries are unclear and confusing. The ownership details around the lake don't fully match what he expected. The next morning, he visits the HOA office to get clarity about the lake area. The environment feels strict, formal, and unusually controlled. The HOA manager reviews his documents and explains that the lake is under strict community regulations. But Daniel senses that something important is being left out. Back at home, he carefully studies all the papers and maps again. The more he reads, the more inconsistent the information becomes. When he checks digital property records, he finds conflicting boundary lines. Some documents show shared access, while others show restricted ownership. He decides to speak directly with a neighbor to understand more. The neighbor casually warns him that asking too many questions about the HOA is not encouraged. Daniel notices that everyone in the neighborhood follows the rules without question, but no one openly challenges or discusses them. He returns to the lake area and observes everything more closely. It starts feeling less like a simple property issue and more like a control system. Checking the HOA notice board, he finds multiple confusing and changing regulations. The rules don't seem consistent over time. Later, he speaks casually with a few residents. From their responses, it becomes clear that everyone is confused but silent. Daniel realizes that no one is willing to stand against the HOA openly. Fear and uncertainty control the entire community. He attends another official HOA meeting where all board members are present. The atmosphere feels heavy, defensive, and tense. He calmly raises his concerns, but the answers he receives are vague and indirect. Nothing is properly explained. After the meeting, residents look at him differently, as if he has crossed an invisible boundary. Daniel begins deeper research by accessing older property records. He discovers that the history of the lakeland is far more complex than expected. The document suggests that the lake was once partially public before control slowly shifted over time. He starts realizing that this is not a simple misunderstanding, but a structured system. He meets a retired resident who was involved in earlier development phases. The man indirectly hints that the changes were intentional. Now, Daniel's suspicion becomes stronger. He understands there is hidden control behind the system. He decides to consult legal advice, but continues gathering more evidence first. The HOA becomes aware that Daniel is questioning their authority. Their behavior towards him becomes more cautious and defensive. Subtle tension spreads through the neighborhood. People start noticing him more frequently. Daniel maps out the lake boundaries carefully and highlights all inconsistencies. He discovers that parts of the lake were intentionally marked as restricted over time. Without alerting anyone, he continues collecting documents and evidence. Inside HOA internal discussions, his name starts appearing in meetings, but nothing is openly revealed. Daniel notices increased surveillance around his property and the neighborhood. It feels like he is being watched. Still, he remains calm and continues his investigation without reacting emotionally. He secretly meets another former HOA insider who reluctantly shares more hidden truths. It becomes clear that controlling the lake area was part of a long-term plan. Daniel now fully understands the system built around restrictions and authority. He prepares a complete legal file with all evidence collected so far. The HOA realizes he's becoming a serious challenge to their control. They begin applying subtle pressure through notices and rules. Daniel documents everything carefully without reacting to intimidation. Rumors start spreading in the neighborhood, but no one takes a public stand. He prepares for a final legal consultation with all structured evidence. The HOA control begins to show cracks as residents quietly start questioning things. Daniel plans his final strategy to expose the full truth. The final confrontation phase arrives, where both sides are forced to face each other. The HOA board remains defensive, but Daniel stays calm and fully prepared. After presenting all evidence, the situation begins shifting out of their control. For the first time, residents openly start questioning the system. pressure builds, and the rigid structure begins to weaken. Daniel stands firm, relying only on facts and clarity. Eventually, the situation changes, and lake access rules are forced to be reconsidered. A new phase begins in the neighborhood where transparency and fairness start gaining importance. Daniel stands outside his home, looking at the lake with calm satisfaction. And finally, the people who were once silent begin to find their voices. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more HOA drama stories.